Okay, what if I told you that one of the best blueprints for powerful public speaking wasn't on some modern TED Talk stage, but was actually hidden in a book from 1915? Seriously, we're going to dive into this and uncover a century-old secret that is, you'll see, maybe more relevant today than ever before.
First things first, let's tackle the big question, the one that holds so many people back. Is great public speaking just a gift? Something you're either born with or you're not? You know, it's a really common belief, but it turns out it might be completely wrong.
And the source for this idea? It's a foundational text by Dale Carnegie and Joseph Berg Esenwein. Their whole premise is incredibly empowering. They argue that public speaking isn't magic, it's a craft. It's a skill that can be learned, practiced, and mastered by absolutely anyone. Yes, even you. Now, you might be thinking of Carnegie's more famous book, right? How to Win Friends and Influence People. But this earlier work is a totally different beast. It's not about being charming in a conversation. It's a detailed, almost technical manual for mastering the mechanics and the psychology of standing in front of an audience and really delivering a message with impact. So, where does this whole journey to mastery even begin? Well, according to Carnegie, it doesn't start with your words or your PowerPoint slides. Nope, it starts inside your own head. The very first stage is what he calls the inner battle for confidence. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. The authors are crystal clear about this. Fear is the #1 thing standing in your way. It's not your accent, it's not your topic, it's not the audience staring back at you. It's the fear you bring with you up on that stage. But here's the good news. They don't just point out the problem, they give us a 2-step solution to tear that fear down. It all comes down to 2 things. First, thorough preparation. And second, something they call the power of will, which is basically making a conscious, deliberate decision to act confident even if you don't feel it at first. Let's break down that preparation part. So what does thorough preparation actually mean? It's not about memorizing your lines word for word, not at all. It's about having such a deep well of knowledge on your topic that you could literally talk for hours if you had to. It's that depth that completely eliminates that terrifying feeling of your mind going blank. Okay. So once you've started to win that inner battle, it's time to focus on your external instruments. The next step is all about mastering your mind, your body, and especially your voice, turning your physical presence into a powerful tool for communication. Carnegie had this really dramatic phrase for the single biggest delivery mistake a speaker can make. He called it the unpardonable sin. So what is this terrible crime against communication? It's monotony. Now, what's great is how simple the antidotes are. To keep an audience locked in, you just have to introduce variety. Change how high or low your voice is. Speed up, then slow down. Get a little louder, then a little softer. And, this one is crucial, learn to use silence, the pause, as a tool.
A really key concept in the book is what they call force. And it's so important to get this. Force isn't just about shouting or being loud. It's about the energy, the conviction, the real emotional power that you put behind your words. It's the difference between just listing off facts and truly sharing a belief.
And let's look a little closer at the pause. Most of us are terrified of silence when we're speaking, right? But in this system, a pause isn't a mistake. It's not you forgetting your words. It's a strategic weapon. You use it on purpose to make a point land, to build a little tension, or just to give your audience a second to breathe and let a big idea sink in. And finally, there's inflection. The easiest way to think about this is like the music of your speech. A monotone voice is just one flat note, but inflection is the subtle rising and falling on different words. It's what gives your message emotional color and signals to your listeners what's really, truly important. All right, so you've worked on your inner confidence. You've worked on your outer delivery. The final piece of this puzzle is the message itself. How do you actually build a speech that genuinely resonates and connects with people?
And it all starts with this fundamental shift in perspective. You are not on that stage to show everyone how smart you are. You're there to give something of value to your audience. Every single decision you make has to be with them in mind.
And the structure for delivering that value? It's absolutely timeless. You start with an intro that hooks them right away. You follow that with a body that lays out your main ideas in a clear, logical order. And then you end with a conclusion that neatly summarizes your message and leaves them with something memorable to chew on. So, how do we pull all of this 100-year-old wisdom together into a simple, practical plan that we can actually use for any presentation or meeting or talk we have to give today?
Well, it really boils down to this incredibly effective blueprint. You start with a hook, then you briefly preview what you're going to cover. Then you deliver your main points, one by one, ideally with a good story or example for each. And finally, you close with a strong summary and a really clear call to action. It's simple, it's logical, and you know what? It just works.
And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important piece of wisdom from this whole book. It's this: stop trying to impress people. Just stop. Focus instead on expressing your idea with sincerity and with passion. Because when you truly express yourself, you will, without even trying, impress.